Hello, everyone. Hi. So it's Thursday again, and me and Ananya are back with a new session of current updates. So, till now on Thursdays, we have been doing this session of current updates where we try to bring new topics and we try to talk briefly about them just to introduce you all to these ideas and topics and writers and narratives. So today also, like all Thursdays, we're back with a new topic. So Ananya, would you like to tell them the topic for today?
So today we will be covering Indian publishers. And as you know, these days in every competitive exam, Indian perspective and Indian literature is important. So it's going to be a really informative session for all of you.
Right. So I really hope that you guys like today's session. And so, as Ananya said, today we will be talking about Indian publishers. So, at first, let me share my screen and then we can get started. All right. So as you can see, today is the topic of current updates is Indian publishers. Okay. So publishing and publishers, right? So as we know, publishing, like writing, it's a political act with significant consequences. Publishing refers to the act of bringing out books of any type in print in the market and making it available for the public to read and think about. That's what the publishing business is about, where you are printing the books and bringing them to the market for the public, right? It's a highly political act, and we will look at it as a significant intervention. So we will look at publishing as a significant intervention in post-colonial India and how this business of publication, how it mobilized the landscape of education and politics in post-colonial India. So from this perspective, especially, we will look up the various prominent publishers of India, mostly from this post-colonial perspective, and how in post-colonial India, publishing has emerged as a very political and significant act which mobilizes the education and political ideas, and it's a lifestyle publishing, right? So let's look at it. So what is this session will be about? In this session, we will deal with some of the major publishing houses of post-colonial India, and some also have their history prior to the independence of India and their significance to the post-colonial developments of India, their history and progress. So now let's look at some major publishing houses. Okay, so the very first publishing house which I thought we should talk about is Kali for Women. So Kali for Women was a startup feminist publisher in India. Urvashi Butalia and Ritu Menon, they set up Kali for Women in 1984, arguably the first Indian publishing house dedicated to publishing on and for women, right? So when they decided to take this step, Urvashi Butalia had worked with Oxford University Press and Z Books in Delhi, while Ritu Menon was a scholar. They started with very little capital, but with an urgent sense that they had to make Indian women's voices heard through academic publishing and activist works, translation and fiction. They were followed by other Indian presses concerned with gender and social issues such as Bhatkal and Sen, who published the imprints Stree and Shammo and Tulika books, widely regarded as India's answer to Virago Press, because let me tell you, Virago Press, it's a British publishing house which focuses on works by, on, and for women. It's a specifically feminist publishing house, Virago, in Britain, and it's for the British women. So it is considered that this Kali for Women, it's a response to that Virago Press. So Kali for Women published some path-breaking titles, among them the Hindi reference book Shorir, my Bengali thing, sorry, Sharir Ki Jankari, that is about the body. So Sharir Ki Jankari was written by 75 village women and sold by them at a special price in the villages. So Sharir Ki Jankari was extremely frank about sex and women's bodies, including issues such as menstrual taboos, shocking some commentators. Till then, academic presses had largely ignored the markets for cheap mass literature, and Kali for Women was a very new and interesting initiative at that time, because especially because firstly it make women's voices heard for the first time in academic circles, and secondly it started to talk about such taboo issues like sex, the desires of women, the menstrual needs and taboos, because such topics were taboo topics back then. Obviously you can't talk about sex openly, you can't talk about menstruation and periods, the desires of women. So this magazine or periodical, or rather this publishing house, was the first of its type or the first of its kind in India to bring out or to take up this initiative in post-colonial India, and it was a massive step for the mobilization of this wave of awareness among women, that they can also speak, that they can also have a voice of their own, but they can talk about their own desires, their bodies, the issues like menstruation, other gynec issues they face. So it was a very significant step. Kali for Women by Urvashi Butalia and Ritu Menon. Right. So let's move on to the next publishing house. So Ananya, will you please read this?
Sure. So, Zaban Books, of course, you might have heard of it, is India's second feminist publishing house after Kali. It was set up in the year 2004 and it is based in New Delhi. It publishes fiction, non-fiction, academic, and children's books for and by women in South Asia. It was founded by Urvashi Butalia and it is an imprint of Kali for women. So the word Zaban, it comes from Hindustani and it literally means tongue. Zuban means tongue. But it has many other meanings such as voice, language, speech, and dialect.
Okay. So Zuban publication was also very important. It's also a very important publication house, or publishing house rather. So the next publishing house that we will talk about is Jayco Publishing House. You will get to know that, those who already know, it's fine, but those who don't know, you will get to know soon why this publishing house is very important. So Jayco Publishing House, it's a prominent publisher in India. So Jayco was founded in 1946, so pre-independence, by Jaman Shah as a book distribution business for US paperback publishers. The company's name, Jayco, commemorates India's independence. Jay means victory in Hindi language. So Jayco was India's first and only publisher. Be very careful. Jayco was India's first and only publisher of paperback books in the English language. So they were the first to do this, publishing paperback books in the English language in India. During the 1960s, Jayco was one of the first houses in India to publish English translations of non-English writings by Indian authors. So they did a great and huge work. And this is how, publication houses, they mobilize ideas, they mobilize education, they mobilize voices, and hence they mold the political ideologies, right? They mold the tastes of public. And this is how we also often is generate a political effect, because back then there was no social media, there was no YouTube, no Instagram, no Facebook, nothing. Newspapers, radio, books, these were the major mediums of conveying information, conveying ideas, right? So back then books was one of the major pillars. And so this is how they revolutionized post-colonial India, the political, educational landscape of post-colonial India, right? Because back then ideas was getting they were spreading like wildfire all across the globe, because a book which was getting written in Poland or Germany, that book was also coming down, and also the Indian authors who were writing in their regional languages, those ideas were also getting spread all across India. So this is how ideas, concepts, camaraderie is mobilized among not only Indians, but across the globe, when social media was not there, when mobile phones were not there, right? So that's how things happen. Next.
So Rupa Publications, it is an Indian publishing company, again based in New Delhi, with sales center in Kolkata, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Chennai, Mumbai, Jaipur, Hyderabad. It is a very prominent and important publishing house with so many sales centers. Rupa Publications was founded in 1936 by D. Mehra and R. K. Mehra at College Street in Calcutta. Also a book distributor and importer, the logo of the company was designed by Satyajit Ray, and he asked for some books as fees for his job. Rupa Publications, of course, has published all of Chetan Bhagat's books, as you might know, and My Country, My Life, which is the autobiography of L.K. Advani, some of Ramendra Kumar's and Ruskin Bond's books published. Life is Perfect by Himan Dalmia and Pranav Mukherjee's autobiographical title, The Presidential Years. So that was all about Rupa Publications.
So when we are talking about various publishing houses, please note the year this publication house was founded, who was the founder, the famous titles which this publication house has released. So please be very careful. Like here we get to know that Rupa Publication, the logo was designed by Satyajit Ray, and they have released such important titles like Pranab Mukherjee's autobiography, The Presidential Years. They have Rupa Publications has also published all the books of Chetan Bhagat, right? So be very careful about their founding year, founder, important titles published by them, right? Very important. Next. So the next publishing house we want to talk about is Neogi Books. So Neogi Books, it's an independent publishing house based in New Delhi, India, that focuses on illustrated non-fiction books across art, architecture, travel, history, food, and culture. It was founded in 2004 by Bikash De Neogi and started off publishing coffee table books, but soon after expanded its remit to include general trade nonfiction and more recently fiction books. Neogi also published the English translation of Mai, a novel by Booker winner Gitanjali Shri in 2017. So these are the tiny details that can come handy in any exam you take. Any competitive exam, NET, SET, GET, any PSC exam, anything. So in 2019, it launched Bahuvachan, an imprint dedicated to Hindi language titles. The noted art historian B.N. Goswami has extensively published with Neogi. In May 2022, Neogi announced its entry into publishing children's books as well. And other than the houses we're discussing, there are many more publishing houses across India. So please do look up more publishing houses, their histories, because publishing has a very interesting history, both in pre-colonial and post-colonial times, right? And they have been one of the major pillars for India, not only mobilization of information and politics, but enriching of our intellectual culture, right? So please be very careful. Next, yes.
So Juggernaut Books. Juggernaut Books, it is informally called Juggernaut. It is a digital book publishing house. Okay, it's a different one now. So it is headquartered in New Delhi. And people who want to self-publish, this is like a really good platform. The publisher emphasizes on short-length books written by new writers. So if you're a budding writer, please note it down. It also allows writers to self-publish their books through their digital platform. The digital books are distributed via their website and mobile apps. They also power the content library, which has around 70,000 books, of the Airtel Books app by Airtel. They also publish physical books, which are distributed and warehoused by Hatchet India. The app has been discontinued since 2020.
So that was all about Juggernaut Books. And the next publishing house will be Children's Book Trust. So Children's Book Trust is an Indian children and young adult book publisher. It was founded by cartoonist K. Shankar Pillai, popularly known as Shankar, in 1957 and was inaugurated by the President of India, Dr. S. Radhakrishnan. So, you know, it's very interesting to look at how many important personalities got entwined and they interacted with such publishing houses, right? It is housed in Nehru House along with the Shankar's International Dolls Museum. Today, Children's Book Trust comprises the Shankar's International Dolls Museum, the Dolls Designing and Production Center, Dr. B.C. Roy Memorial Children's Library, and the Reading Room and Library, and the Indraprastha Press. So, there's various publication houses. They have different target area of audience. They have various focus areas like which books they want to publish. They have different histories to contribute. And there are many more publishing houses like Aleph Book Company. That's also very important. It was founded by the novelist David Davidar. And there are many other books like Tulika Book Press or Tulika Publishing House. They're also very important. So please do look up all these publishing houses. They can come for your exam at least. You will get 1 or 2 questions from them in any exam easily. So that was all for today. We really hope you guys like the discussion. Try to read more on these topics, because the more you get acquainted with these topics, then no question will be difficult for you in the exams, and you won't feel very shocked seeing the questions in the exam centers. So get acquainted with such topics. You still have time for NET and all other exams. So please study these topics. And if you like the video, please do hit the like button and share it with your friends. And tomorrow we will be back again at 9 p.m. And so shall we wrap up for today, Ananya?
Yes, we should. Thank you again for a lovely session and such wonderful information. I'm sure all the students will benefit really greatly from it. And of course, this is only the beginning and starting point for this topic. I would also request you all to make sure that you're reading. This is just like a blueprint.
Yes, like this session's at a brief intro to, get you guys acquainted with these areas, that these areas are there, which you should read upon for more knowledge and, perform really well in exams so that you don't get, any difficulty or face any difficulty when you're reading the questions in the exam center. And these topics like focusing on Indian literature and culture and history, they're getting very, very important from exam perspectives. Like any exam you sit for, any CUET PG exam, any GATE, SET, NET, any PSC exam, assistant professor exam, for any exam you take these days, Indian literature, culture, history, everything is very important. So please do read up more on these topics, get to know more details, how things have evolved across time. They will really help you. All right. So I really hope you guys like the session today. So on that note, let's end the session for tonight and take care. Good night. See you all again tomorrow.